Welcome to Sunshine Art and Drawing. Today I'm drawing a kitty cat and painting it in acrylics. This is the second one in my three-part series of using the different paints included in the Derwent Academy Paint wooden box set. Here I'm just doing a base of white, and this is the reference photo that I used of the kitty. It's from Imager. I'll pop the link in the description. And I'm just mixing up my palette here. I used this little plastic clear palette because it was easier to put more colours into each section, because I wanted to put like 2 or 3 different colours in some sections and mix them up. It's always handy to have your reference photo there so that you can mix the right colours. And I have a little sort of cloth to the side of me where I'm washing off my brush and wiping off the excess paint. And here I'm just mixing up the pink for the nose, the grey for the shadows, and a nice amount of black. And I've painted the background in just plain white acrylic, and it's quite easy to draw over the top of that. So I used one of the pencils included in the box set, and I quickly sketched out sort of the outlines of what I'll be painting, and also just including where the whiskers are going to go, and sort of a bit of an idea of where the fur, which way the fur paints and goes. So here I'm just going to do the black layer of the fur. This took a little while because I'm not really used to acrylics, so I was expecting them to be, I guess, easier to spread in a way, but it's kind of like a thick pasty kind of paint, so you have to add a little bit of water to get it moving. Acrylic paint, you can use water with acrylic paint without any issues. You can also buy what's called medium, which is, you can buy acrylic medium, which is for making thinner and thicker paints, so on and so forth. But I just use water. And here I'm just making sure as you go around the eye, make sure that you don't go into where the eye is, leave a bit of a space, and then use a smaller brush to kind of do the detail. Because if you do go over an area in black, it's very difficult to remove that area. I also found that because I'm using the acrylic paper that was included, it's got a bit of a texture to it, so it sort of grabs the paint off of the brush and adds this nice little kind of rough texture, which I like. And because I tried to follow the direction of the fur as I was painting, all of the brush strokes ended up looking like the fur for the kitty cat. This part took a little while, and as you can see, the acrylic paint is very shiny, which I really like. It's something you don't get with watercolor. You don't get a very shiny paint, but this was really shiny and it picks up the light and shows your paint strokes really well. So here I'm just getting some more black, just nice clean black, and painting in the pupil in the eye. And I'm leaving those 2 little gaps because those are the little glints of light in the eye, and I'll accentuate those with a little bit of white paint once I'm done. And just doing a little tear duct and a little bit of skin under the eye. For a cat, they have underneath their eye they have very fine fur, so it's not black, it's usually like a lighter colour, like a bit of a grey or something like that. So I tried very hard to kind of replicate that. And here I'm just going into this green and yellow and doing the bright green. It didn't come with a bright green, so I figured green and yellow would make a nice bright green. And I pop all that in there and then used a bit of a darker green to do a little bit of shadow that's around the top of the eye, just so you can see the colour change. And just put those little glints of light back in the eye. And here I'm just grabbing the pink and doing the nose. So it's a very tiny amount of nose there because it's kind of cut off by the edge of the photo. And this part took a little while. This was doing the mouth and the nose and sort of the cheeks. So once you've done the black, you can paint over it a little bit in white. It will allow you to kind of not really blend, but drag one colour into another. They don't blend together really well if you're using a light colour and a dark colour. But if you're just blending them on the palette, they're fantastic. Like, they blend really well. But because I'm using a different brush now, I'm using a much finer brush. The brush strokes are slightly different, so they kind of layer over the top of the black quite well, make it look like a bit more fur. Now, one thing I was trying to remember to do is to try and paint in the direction of the fur. That way you get a bit more of an obvious fur pattern. I'm just doing this little bridge of the nose up to the eye, I'm filling in that section there. With acrylic, I think my major tip would be to block in the large amounts of colour that you want first. Some people call this like a base colour. So you would do like a block of the white, block of the grey, block of the black. And once you're done, get a smaller brush and then come in and do all the details. So here I'm just doing all the little whiskers. So they're usually in parallel lines. Now it's really tempting to just put like 1 or 2 or 3 whiskers, but really they've got quite a few of the little dots, and that's what I was doing there, just sort of popping those in and lightening that area up. And here I'm just mixing some white so that I can do this section that is up towards the top, and also the little glints of white for little patches here and there that are in the photo, especially around the mouth and near the top of the eye. As you can see, you can kind of make it look like fur. And if you kind of, it's sort of hard to explain, but kind of just rub the brush very, very gently across the painting, it picks up tiny amounts of paint and streaks it, so it kind of looks a bit more like fur. And here I'm just getting a gel pen. This is a Uniball Signo gel pen, just to do the whiskers. It took me a bit of going over to do the whiskers. This gel pen is a little bit lighter, I guess, or not as opaque as other gel pens, so it took me a few lines of going over, but I think it makes it look more realistic because it's lots of little whiskers rather than 3 or 4 big major ones. Here I'm adding a few more little glints of fur here and there to add a bit more detail. And I just thought that the part around the eyes and the nose wasn't quite what I wanted, so I went back with a fine brush and added in a bit more detail of shading. So a bit of a darker grey around where the mouth is, and then a bit of more darker grey up where the nose joins into the bridge of the nose. Make sure that was all well blended. And then the same thing going up sort of the bridge of the nose towards the forehead of the cat. Just blending in a bit of greys and trying to get a bit of a tonal graduation. And here I'm just removing the tape from around the edge. I don't have an easel, so I just taped it to the desk, which was fine. I didn't have any problem with that. Working in A4 is pretty easy. And I work in watercolour, so I'm kind of used to taping stuff to a desk. And also recommend putting a bit of tape around the edge. Also gives you a really nice border, so it makes your artwork look really professional. I really, really enjoyed painting this. I would recommend acrylics. Give them a try. I hope you really enjoyed this painting. Have a sunshiny day.